Yo, welcome to the Table Talk podcast, where we sit down, pull up a chair, and we get started. This podcast is designed to provide you packed full of information to help you with your training, nutrition, lifestyle, and well-being, where we interview myself through case studies to give you lifetime experience. And then we also interview high-performing individuals or other career-focused people who are looking to make changes in their lifestyle, training, nutrition, and well-being. So let's pull up that chair and let's go. Welcome to episode 5 with Reece Adams, diving in a little deeper. We've just finished speaking with Reece Adams about his routines, who he is, how he kind of started an industry in enterprise fitness, and then also talking a little bit about his training, working with Luke Lehman from Muscle Nerds, utilizing a really fancy system called structural backloading, where we look at the start of the program being more structural balance or accessory work to strengthen and stabilize the structure. So when we do compound work, we can actually lift a little bit heavier and obviously a little bit safer, which is quite interesting. So let's dive back in with Reece Adams from Redefined Fitness. So Reece, we were just talking about the backloading before with Luke Lehman because of rehabbing your shoulder. I guess we talked before about working with different coaches. So I'm doing some Kilo Society programming at the moment, which I'm enjoying. Lots of unilateral work. So I'm not squatting, haven't squatted for about 6 months. And I really hate it, but I love it because all the gymnastics work, you can't measure it in kilos. It's all in seconds and being able to control new ranges. So how long have you worked with Luke Lehman? Like, how did you befriend him? Or you said you're a friend. So how did that come about? And then how have you started working together?
So, when did I come across Luke? So first I heard of Luke, he was working at Poliquin Group. So basically Charles Poliquin's original business. And then he was doing some lecturing for them. And then he then developed Muscle Nerds and then came out. Mark had him, actually I heard him present his level 1 and level 2 on basically optimizing general population. So basically looking after their health and how to work with general population in a way that is going to not only, because a lot of the time it's, just sets and reps, but the thing that he was really big on was improving their blood pressure, heart rate, all those kind of things. So he had definitely a point of difference, but he was also very good at working on their structural health, which I thought was, really helpful. At the time, it wasn't that important because I didn't have the injury that I did then. And then later down the track, Mark actually had him at Enterprise. He gave a really good presentation. And then basically I worked with a number of coaches with the shoulder limitation. And I just found that I kept progressing my weights to a point, and then the shoulder would flare up, and then I would have to pull the weights back again. So I'm like, I need to work with someone who's more educated and specializes in this particular situation. So that made me reach out to Luke. And then when we started working together, as we got to know each other, we basically, because I was lucky enough to have him when I was at Enterprise presenting for the Wolfpack. Luke actually sat in on one of the presentations, and he said good job, which was a nice compliment.
Was this pre or post motorbike riding?
Post, very post.
So you were ready. You were ready to rev it up.
Yeah, I did as you know, I did the nutrition side of things there for Wolfpack for probably at least 3 or 4 years. So did 3 or 4 years there. And yeah, Luke was sat in on one of them, said, awesome job. And then he liked what I had to say. And then, we kind of chatted a bit there and then became even closer friends once I started coaching with him. He said because I actually reached out to him at one point and did a consult with him. And then he actually said to me, that he'd been wanting to coach me for a while. So he's like, finally letting me coach you. So
he's only human. He's only human. Don't hold it against him.
He was quite happy. So then as we started to work together, he liked the fact that I was super robotic. Obviously, you would be the same. Like, you get clients that, do this, they do it, awesome. It just makes your life as a coach a lot easier. So they're the kind of clients that, you start to, you have a lot of appreciation for them. And then you kind of, the ones that are giving you the most, you give back, and then you develop a friendship with them. So then, we just became friends.
Yeah, awesome. His my first experience with him was in PACP. And this is, remember, the young, naive Carl modeling in a tree and in a pool. I'm sitting at an event and he's presenting, talking about structural balance and everything. I'm eating, I can remember it clearly. I'm eating a pork belly, and he goes, "Man, that smells good. God, could you eat? Like, hurry up! Like, when you're so skinny, you take too long to eat, that you burn those calories. Like, man, you got to grow like 30, 40 kilos. Like, you got nothing on you." And like, so I worked really hard, got a lot of, like, I think I put on 20, 30 kilos working with Cato, Rutherford, and then a bit of Rawdon. And I think it was 80 kilos at the time. And there was an event. This is just before he finished in with the Polican group. And there's an event, there's all these big boys. And, Charles then walks past. He's like, Luke, says hi to everyone, looks at me, and then walks off. Like, okay, I'm still the smallest guy here. Okay, I got it. Thanks. And I think one of them was a good friend of Rawdon's, and he's like, "Oh, you're friends of Rawdon's? Yeah, Charles doesn't really like you. You have really small arms." God damn it! Just step that up.
My second time meeting Charles, obviously, it was the time I did a private internship with him. But then the next time was I did the body signature, and he calls people up the front when he's doing skin folds on like different spots. And he called me up to the front, and then he's like, "Geez, who cut your hair? Did they use a firecracker?" And that was like the first time So another funny one was there was a guy that also worked at Enterprise, and he copped it worse than me. Well, I thought it was a worse comment than what I got. He basically gets up to the front and he's about to measure this guy's calves, and he's like, "Oh, geez, I can clean the barrel of my rifle with these things."
Was that Mark? Oh,
it wasn't Mark. It was another colleague. I'll do my best to leave names out.
Yeah. No, I love training with Mark. It's good fun because he'll train calves, and I look at them, I'm like, "Are you even trying, Mark? Like, come on." He's like, "They look good." I'm like, "Yeah, but barely." Like, because he's got really well defined legs, but like compared to me, they're not the same size. I'm like, "Come on, man, make them bigger." He's like, "Genetically, it doesn't work." I'm like, eh. I can't complain.
You can never have too big calves. There's plenty of guys that would love their calves to be bigger.
Yeah. But what I love about Mark is that, like, he's quite strong. Like, he doesn't look it. So like I have legs probably bigger than his, like twice the size maybe, but he can still lift the same weight, which is really cool. And like Luke Lehman's, like, his physique, bring it back to Luke, like I really do enjoy his physique because obviously he's, what we do is practice what we preach. And these guys are all doing the same thing. And he has done that to himself. And so he's got like, the broad shoulders, the arms, the trunk, the legs, like he's got that good structure. And obviously this is why I like practice what you preach, because you can't lie. You can't bullshit that. Like if you don't have like, I'll drop another name, Michael Pritchard, because he has giant arms.
Like, he does, yeah. The first time I saw him, that was one of the first things I thought, "Oh, geez, that guy's got massive arms."
And he trains arms. I went to see him a few months ago. I'm like, "All right, we're training legs." He goes, no. We're training the legs of the upper body. I'm like, "What?" He's like, "We're training biceps. We're training back." Like typically I'll do about 5 to 8 sets on biceps. I think we did 28 sets on biceps. Like, oh, I was sore.
Well, one of the hamstring muscles is called the bicep femoris. So it's one of those things where
that's why you should always train legs. But so talking about, so that's my misconception in the industry, is that a lot of trainers out there, they don't practice what they preach. And so they may have the aesthetics of the physique through supplementation or just they just don't eat in a surplus. So they maintain it. So they obviously understand a few things, but when it comes to training modalities, they haven't put themselves through it. So this brings me to one of those questions: is what do you think is one of the biggest misconceptions out there that people have in the fitness industry?
Well, mine's totally, because like I said to you, I wrote notes on this. It's a little bit off center of that one, but it's around
Well, it's
online
your
coaching.
own interpretation, your own. Don't have to go off
Yeah,
mine.
so it's one of those things. The biggest opportunity and challenges that are out there. So I wanted to put it down to online coaching is a massive opportunity because obviously you can it gives you a lot of freedom and you can do it remotely. But then one of the biggest challenges that comes down is a lot of people take on more people than they should, which then ends up in clients getting neglected. And that's something I've always been of the thought process. I would rather charge more and train less people, but provide a better service. Whereas often you get people where they would rather charge less and train more people. Neither is right or wrong, but I think you should understand that you want to be able to deliver the service that you're proud of and figure out what allows you to do that.
Mm. Well, talking about that, what is the redefined fitness process? So, like, how does it work? If I was to say, "Hey, Reece, I would like to work with you, you handsome devil, you, and your team, because I'm not as good looking," or the missus, or my missus is like, "You step your game up. Check out Reece's photo. You should look like this," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, well, I'll go straight to the source." So what's the process to start to obviously finish?
Yeah. So basically, I'm personally not taking on clients at the moment because, as you would know,
Come
it's one of those
on.
things. If the
Come
more you're in the
on.
business, the less you're on the business. So it's one of those things where it's kind of I explain to clients as I'm doing them a disservice because I'm not going to be able to give you the attention that I want to give you.
Hmm.
So I would rather have you work with one of our coaches who are going to more than look after you. I oversee everything. So when you work with us, I'm overseeing everything. So you're still getting, somewhat working with me. But basically, we have a couple of options where people either work with us face to face or they work with us online. Face to face is everything is so the first session we do a structural assessment, we do nutrition, and then from there we get enough information to put your program together and your nutrition, and basically everything's looked after. So you get some coaches, they do a training session with you and off you go, whereas working with us, we write you your program so you know exactly what you need to do when you're not with us. So everything, because it's one of those things, the body will stay the same, won't it, unless you give it a reason to change. So it's important to be noting those things down. So we give you a program where you can write down your weights, your reps. Everything is structured because I love everything to be systemized, as I've done here with all the notes.
Beep, boop, boop.
And then the nutrition side of things. The cool thing working with us is a lot of the time when you work with certain coaches, they only do things one way. And it's like, this is my process. You must do it this way. But what I like to pride myself on is not being like, for instance, to give you an example, there's 10 ways that you can get from your house to the gym you go to. Yeah. There's multiple ways, maybe not 10, there's multiple ways. So it's one of those things. If you understand where you're going, there's multiple ways to get there. So with clients with nutrition, for instance, you give them a meal plan and for whatever reason, they don't follow it. So you're just like, okay, I can't give you the next step until you follow it. I think that has merit a couple times, but if you just keep saying that, eventually the client is going to leave and they're not going to get a result. So the best thing to do, in my opinion, is find out, okay, I want to get you this result. What is necessary to get that for you? So for some clients, it might be a case of giving them a calorie goal. For some clients, it might be giving them calories and protein goal. So it really depends. Like I'll give you a classic example of a client of ours. She has probably the worst nutrition plan I have ever seen, but she has lost 8 kilos. Now,
She's the worst.
now,
Eating nothing at all.
no, it's like breakfast is, oh, geez. Breakfast is a block of chocolate. Lunch is a packet of chips. Dinner is usually what the family's eating, which is usually some, meat and quality, like some form of like potato, rice, vegetables, something nutritious, usually at least one meal. But the rest of the day is like ice cream, like not to say these foods are good and bad, but there's not a lot of nutritious foods. So with her, it was a case of she's worked with people in the past and wasn't able to get the results she wanted because she felt that it was too. She occasionally deal with clients that are kind of the rebel. It's like, you must do this. And then they just have this innate want to just rebel. So I've found with her, for instance, just giving some broad guidelines has allowed her to be able to stick to it. Because, for instance, with her, it's not just the calorie goal, but it's also the freedom of, we've tried doing just the calorie goal every day. So give a particular number that has to be every day, but even that was too controlling. So for her, at the end of the day, well, in this case, the end of the week, we have, okay, I need your average calories across the week to total this number. So some days might be up a lot higher, some days might be down lower, but as long as she hits that number and we are progressing week to week at the rate of loss, or whether we're maintaining or losing, as long as we're progressing how we should be, then that's the ultimate goal. So not getting too caught up on like the small stuff. It's like, what is a better protein source, fish or chicken? They're both protein sources. So focusing on the big rocks and not the small rocks.
However, for some clients, what would the answer be? Chicken or fish?
I think the majority of people chicken. I think fish occasionally. Like I like fish occasionally, but it's one of those foods that doesn't, like, you can't really take it to work. It tends to smell a bit. You tend to be that person.
The answer we're looking for, Reece, is free range chicken. Sorry, tune in next time for for Table Talk Answers with Reece.
If you can afford free range, all for it.
With well seasoned paprika, salt and pepper. Yeah, okay, that's really interesting. What about so you have move like the structure balance assessment, assess people's limitations, restrictions, then the nutrition, see where they're at, then design a personalized program, then design a nutrition plan based off their needs, and then reevaluate each week. And instead of going, sorry, Carl, you only ate 5 out of your 7 days, you need to do that. You need to get all 7 days before you move on to level 2 or the next phase. More you go, why is that? Oh, cool. Well, instead of daily, let's go to weekly, or let's instead of calories, let's focus on 200 grams of protein a day. Like, and you just start to work with what would suit that person's lifestyle, and obviously take that gradual approach.
Yeah. So it's more, we tend to derive that from the first conversation. Like, okay, what have you done with your nutrition in the past? I think that's an important question to ask. Because say, for instance, they might say, look, people have always, and I've had this before, people have always given me meal plans and I just can't stick to them. It's like, well, why can't you stick to them? Oh, I just get bored. Okay, well, a meal plan for that client is going to be tough. Sometimes you can get around it by saying, look, I just need you to follow this for a week. And this is what I have done in the past, and it's worked well. You basically just set short time frames, and you probably find this helpful as well. It's like, well, how long can you do it for? Because in their head, when you give them a meal plan, they're like, I need to do this for the rest of my life, literally, like this exact meal plan. Yeah. In their head, that's how it feels. And
when can I cheat?
Yeah, so if they understand, if I get to this point, which it could be 1 week, 2 weeks, but it needs to be a long enough period of time for you, that that client will get a result, which is usually 1 or 2 weeks if you've set things up correctly. they'll get a result, not the result, obviously. And just enough of a result to keep them, because ultimately we want buy-in from the client. So by them seeing some sort of progress in that 1 or 2 weeks, they go, oh, okay, if I follow this, this works. And that's when you know you've got them.
So you would say you're redefining the fitness way.
That would be the ultimate goal of the name. That would be.
It's like if only there was a company called Redefined Fitness AU. Only in Australia, of course. Only in Australia. Nowhere else in the world. That's great. Because this obviously leads into our next robotic question is, can you share a time when you took a risk that paid off? So because obviously you've created a system for yourself that is flexible, works with people. And as you said, you had a lady who's probably worked with coaches and they're like, nah, can't eat that. No, you got to do it my way. Um, has there been a defining moment when did you used to do that? Or have you always done it this way? Or did you used to be similar to other coaches where it's like, this is the way we do it? Yeah, can you break that down?
Yeah, yeah, 100%. So there definitely was a time when I was that way. I think in your early days when you just don't know any better, it's like, this is how I got a result. And obviously, the only person when you first start out that you have to base getting a result is yourself. So it's like when you're early days as a coach, the way you coach people is how you coach yourself. So depending on where you're at or what level you come into being a coach with your own training. So like, for instance, if you're a powerlifter and you come in, you're like, why can't everyone squat 300 kilos?
What is wrong with this corporate lawyer? Oh, well, I remember when when I used to try like deadlift 200, 220 with my coach. I remember when I first met Kate and I trained her, and, I spent an hour with her teaching how to deadlift 25 kilos. And I was like, I remember I had a video and I've lost it now, which is super upsetting. But I remember Kate, she does the deadlift and she's like, like super excited. And I'm filming this. And then she goes, oh. And my face is just like, I wasn't able to separate my emotions. Like internally, I'm like, great job. But my face is like, you seriously?
So your face was a look of disappointment, and then she was
just disgust. Like, oh, we're gonna be here forever. And she's like, I did it, yay! Like, she's like, that was the best day of my life. Like, I was so happy. And then I looked at you, and you just so disappointed. Like, it's not even your body weight. Oh, but like, super funny. But
so you understand though, yeah?
oh man, yeah, 100%, 100%. But I guess the payoff is when the client, like, the moment they get it, it just results take off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, just on this, a fun story for you is long ago when I probably 2 years with Kate. So for those that are tuning in, Kate is my partner. She's not a figment of my imagination, as some would believe. It is Reece's favorite person. It's her, then me. So obviously she's definitely real. I was in the gym once and this girl was chatting with me and she was telling me how fit she was. She could deadlift 40 kilos. I'm like, obviously me being me, I'm like, are we flirting with each other? Huh. I'm like, come with me. And we walk down the stairs to the gym and there's this girl in the corner. Bang. She's lifting about 120. And I go, oi. She pops her head up. It's Kate. Walks over. She's just sweating. She's like, hey, babe, what's up? Give her a kiss. I just want to say hi. She goes back, sits on the bench, sitting, resting for 3 minutes. And I look at the other girl. I go, if you can beat that, maybe. She's like, oh my God.
That's actually a good point that you raised there. So it's something I've done before is you get clients, not necessarily with your partner, but
hang on. So what you've done before is you've used my partner as an example in gym compared to other women. Wow. Okay. How come I don't know about this, Reece?
in this scenario, I'm more talking about it's one of those things not to dishearten clients, but to get clients to realize what is possible. You go, I, you might see a particular client wanting a particular goal, and then you go, okay, such and such has achieved that, and then they get this like look of, oh, it's possible. So then I find that's really inspiring. So
Hmm.
you also inspired that client as well as gave her a bit of a shock.
Yeah, I think the last I actually saw her, her on Instagram. She's actually deadlifting about 90 to 100 now. I was like, hell yeah, it's really
There you go.
cool.
Yeah.
She then deadlifted on a Bosu ball. I was like,
Oh no.
but no, it's really cool. I reckon what I like personally about the face-to-face PT. I don't know if you do this, how you do this online, like if you do group calls, but like just getting people to know others. So like when they're in the gym, they can just train together and like share their own personal stories. Do you do like
It,
group calls with online people?
it's something I probably should get better at. Last year we actually did a team as well as like got the team and clients together and took them to dinner for a Christmas party. So that was really cool. But yeah, something that we probably need to work on is creating a bit more community.
Yeah, cool. Well, is there anything training, health, lifestyle related else on your mind that you would want to share with people? Reese's Pieces?
Ooh. Probably the most important thing is just surrounding yourself with people that, and this is something I found in like all, so my personal training, coaching people, working on business, is just surrounding yourself with people that make it pretty much impossible to fail, and also backing yourself. So, like for instance, the other day, you and I, we had a chat about business stuff because we're going and we both want the same thing, and we can both share our experiences and help each other out. So I think it's important to, like, I guess this kind of carries on from your community thing. Have people around you that are going to help with that.
Mm. With a network of five, so you're the net worth, the closest five people around you. Yeah, still looking for that billionaire. Bring that network up. So cool. So we got the focus of what it's like working with you. What about when working with you? Is there common themes that you see people struggle with? Is it weight loss? Is it strength? Is it muscle building? Like, are there common things that you're seeing that stand out?
Yeah, I think it depends on sort of the market you're going after. So, for instance, for us, my favorite people to work with are people that want to lose the last 5 to 10 kilos and they've lost weight already but got stuck. Because a lot of people, you would see this as well, when they go on their weight loss journeys, they reduce their food intake, increase activity, but that only works to a point, doesn't it, Carl?
Yeah, more coffee. People eat coffees, which I love. I love when people go,
What do you mean they tell you they ate a coffee?
yeah, I actually have started going, how'd you do that? Like, oh, I did. I'm like, no, no, no. How did you eat? Like, did you like, no, no, I drank it. I'm like, oh, okay. So did you eat it or did
Hey,
you drink it?
true story here. So you can actually eat coffees nowadays. This is true story.
Like putting in a shake and then drinking it? What? Or chewing the
No, no, so,
beans?
no. So basically, there's a coffee shop. I think it's called. It is, yeah. It's called Puzzle Coffee, and what they use is it's a biscuit cup. So the cup is made out of biscuit. So this is a true story, and you can eat the basically you drink your coffee and then you eat the
Oh, I've
biscuit
had one of
that is,
these. Yeah.
yeah. So it's
Yeah,
called Puzzle Coffee.
but you're not really eating the coffee. You're eating the cup. You're eating a biscuit with your coffee. Like,
Oh,
if you,
it's see, this is
like,
where context matters. That's debatable, isn't it?
like if we pour a coffee, we don't just you know how you put through in your mouth. You're not throwing the coffee at your face and going,
There is no chewing as the liquid goes down. That is true. But if you were to have the biscuit in your mouth whilst you drink some of the coffee, you are eating
well, yeah.
slash
If it
chewing
absorbs into the cookie, then you chew the
slash
cookie. Are you
slurping your coffee.
chewing? Well, no, we don't have an answer to this one. So if you're tuned in listening to this episode and you have your answer, submit it. We'd love to hear it.
Let's get the listeners on this one because I feel like this is an important question to answer.
And that brings us to the end of episode 5 with Reece learning about his systems, his processes at Redefined Fitness. So if you're interested, reach out to Reece at Redefined Fitness AU, possibly through Instagram, or go onto his website. The link is below, and jump on his booking form. Unfortunately, Reece is not available yet. However, I feel we could sway him to coach someone here or there. Patent pending. We'll see. Tune in next time, episode 6. Hey, thanks so much for joining the episode of Table Talk today. We hope you found some helpful tips and inspiration in staying healthy and fit, even with a busy schedule. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast. Stay tuned for our next conversation. Until then, keep prioritizing yourself, your health, your fitness, and we'll see you on the next Table Talk.